Sustainability has become a buzzword in the agricultural world, especially when it comes to international certifications. There is a craze fueled by the need of access to markets, and that is very understandable. However, that doesn't help because we tend to forget why we're doing things in the first place. Today, we want to discuss this issue. Names such as RSPO and Rainforest Alliance are very popular these days, and with very good reason. Having one of their seals can mean access to developed markets and better rates for your produce. However, the question here is whether we are trying to obtain these certifications for the sake of having a sustainable business, or is just a badge that we have in order to fulfill a requirement. The question here is, are we going to have a sustainable business not only now, but tomorrow and the day after? Also, the question here is about legacy. Are our children in the community going to have not only a business, but a food source for the future? Let's talk about that. Sustainable best practices are cemented in three main pillars. The first one has to do with soil health. We cannot grow anything unless we have a fertile soil. The second one has to do with the quality and the availability of water sources. And the third one has to do with the equilibrium of the nearby environment and the living beings on it. Let's discuss in detail each of those items. Number one, let's talk about soil health. Soil degradation has been a major problem over the past few years. The use of monocultures and the excess in the usage of pesticides and agrochemicals has caused a very deep impact in soil fertility. We need to adopt best practices that control the amount of chemicals being used on the ground, and also to promote best practices that help to recover the vegetal layer of the soil. If we do this, we're going to have a healthy soil that is going to last for years to come. Number two, 100 years ago, we used to think that water was an unlimited resource. Today we know better. Water is scarce and precious. This is why we need to take care of the native forests that nurture the rivers and streams that we use as a source to water our crops. Also, we need to be very careful in the usage of agrochemicals and fertilizers so that they do not pollute the underground aquifers that feed those rivers and streams as well. Number three, equilibrium with the middle environment. We need to make sure that there's a room for all of the living things, all of the stakeholders within our local ecosystem to coexist. We ignored this and we disregarded the importance of these organisms for way too long, and now we're paying the price. We can see that in the disappearance of pollinators. We can see that also in the pests and diseases that have become more and more difficult to manage. If we have all of the environmental stakeholders in control, all of these situations will start addressing themselves. Now that we know the main pillars of a sustainable agricultural operations, we can go back to certifications and technology. Certifications are a perfect roadmap that help us know the steps we need to follow to build upon for a really sustainable operation. They tell us on what are the best practices for many places in the world and what has worked, and most importantly, what hasn't, so that we avoid those pitfalls. And technology are the tools that will help to do our work faster and better. A good example of how we can use technology is precision agriculture, particularly variable rate spraying. This is a technology that, using GPS and GIS, creates application maps for a terrain that is going to be either fertilized or we're going to perform agrochemical application. Using GIS, this map a tractor passes by, and with the GPS position, the tractor would know exactly when to apply the fertilizer or chemical and when not to. This is fantastic because this helps us to save a lot of money, because we're only going to be using our chemical or fertilizer where we need it. It also is good for the environment because we're not going to be polluting the water sources, or we're going to be minimizing that impact, and there will be less soil degradation as less harmful chemicals hit the ground. Finally, this is going to be good for the crops and for the organisms that live on it, as we're providing the nutrients that they need, but we're not overdoing it so that they do not get poisoned. So this is a fantastic approach, where in the end we are systematically improving the health of our middle environment and the yield of our crops. We want to invite you to look back into your state, into your farm, and see how you can apply these principles. After that, you can go after any certification that you want, and then you can look at all of the technologies that can help you get there. As always, here at Cultivate, we are here to help.